Another Bright Spark podcast.
Another bright
Another bright
spark.
spark.
Another bright spark.
Another bright spark.
Another bright spark.
Another bright spark. Another bright spark podcast.
Lee, thanks for joining us on another Bright Spark podcast. The retro gaming and retro computer movement is huge at the minute. Spectrum Next just completed their 2.6 million Kickstarter to have the latest version of the Sinclair Spectrum ZX. So the love of retro gaming and retro computing is huge. You know, there must be hundreds of thousands of people who are as enthused as you are. I mean this in the most respectful way. You're a pretty average bloke. Why aren't more people repairing their own consoles and getting back into the makers movement?
It's a really good question. First of all, yeah, very average in many ways. It's something I do wonder about. Why? It's something I do wonder about. Why aren't there more of me? Why aren't there more people like me? And it's something that concerns me because in my local area, and I live out in the sticks in the middle of Suffolk, well, actually on the edge of Suffolk, and there's no big cities. There's a few big towns around, but I don't know anybody else apart from one person who I bumped into randomly in a supermarket whilst shopping. And that's the only person I know within an hour of where I live. And I wonder if it's just something that everybody is just hiding, because they do seem to be out there. People watch these videos and people are taking part in all of the different things that happen in this community. So yeah, I'm baffled myself. So I wish I knew. It's a good question.
Do you think it's a fear factor? I mean, you say lots of people watch your videos, and they do. We interviewed Mendit Mark last year, and he's got a huge following. There are several people like yourself who have a real loyal following. I can appreciate how people might want to watch. I think it's one thing to watch a video and to go, oh, that looks really cool, I'd love to do that. But then is there a barrier, do you think, to trying to get into it? Is it a fear thing? Is it?
I think with retro repairs especially, there is a bit of a fear because there's this misconception that some of these things are very precious, and they're not really, are they? I mean, the ones that I fixed the most, the ZX Spectrum 48K, they sold millions of the things, and you pick or throw a stone in a random street, you're going to hit a loft, and there'll be a ZX Spectrum inside it. So I always say that if maybe don't practice on something that's precious to you. If it's something that was from your childhood and has memories that attach to it that you don't want to ruin, then maybe practice on something. Yeah, practice on an old power supply or something.
Don't go for that first.
But yeah, I think there is a bit of a fear, and I see that sometimes. But then you also see the other side of that, where people don't fear it and they just jump in and then quickly get in over their head. So the way that I approached it myself was to just watch loads of YouTube videos and learn gradually, and then just started doing it myself and gave it a go. And I don't see why anybody else shouldn't be able to do that. And I always encourage people to do it. And there's a lovely community around, especially on, we've made this amazing Discord community, the Retro Hardware Discord, which is full of people that just want to help.
Link in the description.
Thank you. It's just full of people that want to help, and people join there all the time and then say, I've got a problem with this. And you'll get 2 or 3 people that know exactly what they're talking about. A few people that don't, but they're just as enthusiastic, and their opinions are just as valid. But it's
if not as accurate.
Not as accurate. They're valid, but not as accurate. Slightly dangerous sometimes as well. But it's all part of the fun of learning these things, and that's what I base all of my passion around is the learning things. Well, there's a few different things actually. There's the learning things, and then also the community of the thing. So it's just gathering like-minded people around and giving it a go. So yeah, give it a go.
So yeah, I think you hit on a really interesting point there about giving it a go, but not using something that's precious to you. So I had a SNES that I've had since I was like 13, 14 years old, giving away my age there. And yes, and I wanted to play the games, but didn't realise there was little batteries in the cartridges. So I really wanted to sort of get involved and do it. But there was a big fear there. It's like, I've had these cartridges for X amount of years, and if I damage them, then I'm going to lose something precious. So advice maybe go to if you want to get involved with the community, certainly go to a retro museum where selling off stock, or go to a community meet, pick up some retro hardware and give it a go. Basically, if someone was to do that, what in terms of kit would you recommend? What would you get started? What do people need?
Whoa, that's a question that could run.
Well, we've got about 40 minutes. I've got other questions, but we
Stick
can
with this one.
start with this one.
I've got a whole video on this. No, I think there's various things, and the thing to hang on to there is some people will think you need to spend a lot of money on expensive high-end gear, but you really, really don't. For instance, a multimeter. I mean, I've got a nice posh Bryman multimeter. I'm not a fluke, but it's I consider it to be a good one. And the one I had before that was an Astro AI, which you see a lot around on the YouTube channels. Just really good. But then you could go even that was only about 30 quid, but you can go even cheaper. You could get a multimeter for like 10 or 15 pounds and it will do everything you need. The same with an oscilloscope. You can get a handheld oscilloscope that will do it, especially for retro repair, will do everything you need. The soldering iron is probably going to be the biggest question. Is everybody's going to, and that's the one that people ask the most, is what soldering iron should I get? And there's a whole range of different choices, but and value options. But the one I would choose is a Pine Seal. Pine Seal 64, I think, is the more modern one. Again, it will do everything you want, and they only cost about £35, something like that, delivered from wherever.
So you don't need to break the bank to get yourself started, is what we're saying.
Really don't. But get the basics.
Yeah.
Get what you need just to do the job that you want, and then just start adding to it a little bit at a time. And then all of a sudden you'll get a place full of stuff like this.
Just like the workshops we've got. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll think, what, 5 years? Where did that go? Where did all these Commodore 64s come from?
I've just mentioned my SNES, and obviously you're a huge retro gaming fan. You also embrace sort of the more FPGA way of getting into retro gaming and retro computing. Mm-hmm. What is it? You say in your website you regress to a teenager minus the acne. I love that line, by the way. What do you think? Why are we looking back? Why are we looking at this old tech? What's going on?
It's the classic nostalgia itch, isn't it? It's an easy target as well, because there's so many different things that we were interested in back in the day. And I was, as a spotty 12, 13-year-old, suddenly faced with a ZX81, and my world changed. And that wonder that you get from it has to be something that affected you at some point in your life. And it doesn't necessarily have to be when you were young, because I'm still nostalgic for things that I had in my 20s now that I'm, a few decades beyond that. But that wonder that you feel when something changes in your life for the better is the thing that you try and recapture. I mean, it is something that people are concerned about, that are you going to spoil that memory? But I don't think so. I think there's things to be added to it as well. And
no,
it's changed. I mean, the whole thing when I started out along my YouTube journey, it just changed my life completely. It's the whole community that's opened up in front of me has.
I think that's really important. You just nailed it, community as well. So certainly when you were growing up and I was growing up, a few months later, we if you're into computers or computing, you were the geeks, and the geeks weren't popular. It's a lot more acceptable now. So when you find the community, you can share that, right? You've got a bigger group of people, and the connectivity on the internet, you can find your own tribe. It's got to be part of it.
Well, there's a couple of things there. When I was young, all through the years, I've always tried to go for, I've always tried to take on the next big thing. And I can remember having a big mobile phone before people had big mobile phones, and everybody going, "Oh, what are you trying to compensate for?" But
I'm just selling my stocks, man.
Bye. Yeah, the community side of it is that when when we were growing up, you got the cool thing that you were really excited about. And the first thing you wanted to do with it, apart from you played with it yourself, is to share it with your friends. And, you know, and plus the whole, you know, sharing games and everything. But you got something called, whatever it was. It didn't matter if it was a computer or if it was a new football or something. You know, when you're a youngster, you've got this amazing thing, you wanted to share it with your friends. For me, that's never changed all through my years. Whatever I've got, whenever I've got something cool, and whenever I've got something that I think is exciting and worth sharing, and that's the first thing I look to do. And that's why YouTube became so appealing to me, because all of a sudden I could share it with, you know, in the beginning, a few hundred people would watch, and it was, why, you know, this is incredible. And the first thing that I did was build an arcade cabinet, and in fact I built one before that and shared it on social media, and that started getting interest. I thought, oh, I might as well just put a camera here, you know. Yeah. But yeah, the community thing is even more important. It's there are 3 hobbies that I've got now, although one of them I now do for a living. But it's YouTube and the actual the making things and fixing things, plus community building. These are the 3 pillars of everything that I do. I need to make these amazing communities, and I'm not sure why, but I need to do it. But it seems to serve me well, and people seem to like it.
It seems like connection. You want to reach out. It's a little bit like, you know, people write songs or perform music because they want to express themselves. I think it's the same with technology and building communities by the sounds of it. It's, you know, yeah. You said 3 things, you know, building community, fixing things, YouTube. Do you get time to play anymore?
You know what?
Or is that just an option for you? You don't get to enjoy the actual things.
Months. I've actually, last year, while I was doing one of my big my big charity events, we were raising money for the befriending scheme. I've got there's a donkey on my other screen here right now, which is part of that whole thing. And the people that follow me will know exactly what I'm talking about. And after that, I worked on that for 4 or 5 months straight, where I was doing 16-hour days, just making videos and working to build this charity event into this amazing thing that happened in the end. And by the end of it, I was absolutely shattered. There was no energy left in me. I'd given everything. It was all spent. But for the last month, all I kept saying was, I'm just obsessed with, I want to play this game. It was Satisfactory was the game. I really, really want to play this game. And that's all I could think about, was playing this game. I've always been, since the ZX81, I've always been a huge gamer. And as soon as I started making YouTube videos, and the reason that I called the channel More Fun Making It was because I was having more fun doing the other thing than actually playing games. Yeah, but yeah, last night I sat down with my laptop and I fired up Minecraft, of all things, and I just sat there for a couple of hours just wandering around, punching sheep and stuff. But
fantastic. Well, at least you're making time for it still. You've touched on your YouTube channel a couple of times. I know there are going to be people watching this who follow you, you know, part of your community, and there'll be people also who will be maybe considering starting up themselves. So let's go through it. You got back into the making things. Was it 5-6 years ago? Built up a few hundred followers. What changed? What was the genesis of going from hundreds to thousands?
Oh, that was definitely community again. One of the other communities that is not widely known, but it's not a big secret or anything, is the Big Red Arrow Club, which is lots of retro and vintage tech and retro gaming YouTubers. And I was one of the founding members of this, and I helped run it. And that was a catalyst for turning things into something that was becoming more serious, because I was getting more success. But up to that point, I'd been wondering. I had all these questions. I'm doing YouTube, but I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea what I was doing, and I would throw I'd throw a thumbnail together in minutes on my phone, which was terrible. I've still got those somewhere, and I look just to look back at. And but that was when I was building a pinball table from scratch, and I was spending all my time doing the actual thing, and the YouTube thing was kind of, oh, let's just throw it up on YouTube and see what happens. And it needs to be a little bit more than that. But once I hit about 700 or 800 subscribers, myself and Rose Tinted Spectrum, What Hode Snorkers, and Lee Smith's Workshop got together and we created the Big Red Arrow Club. And then we started gathering YouTubers around us, and then we started sharing ideas. And once you do that, you learn exponentially faster. It's I mean, community has always been somewhere that's a huge resource in whatever you do. It's where you get lots. Well, you can learn from other people's mistakes, basically.
Well, it's support, isn't it? It's a few things. Other people's knowledge. It's support. It's reassurance. It's being egged on. It's encouragement, which is the same as being egged on. But yeah, it sounds critical.
Yeah, and so Big Red Arrow Club was like I say, a catalyst. After I joined that, things started to jump up and go a bit crazy. I've kind of thrown a few spanners in the works almost deliberately along the way, because I've started a second channel.
Splitting your audience, Lee. What are you talking about as a marketeer? That's terrible. What are you talking about?
Yeah, well, I could argue this one, but I wouldn't. I'd probably be arguing against myself, because part of me is thinking, why am I doing that? But yeah, once I got to about 40, the main channel was at 15,000 subscribers now, and the second channel was 6,500, something like that. And yeah, they're kind of growing at similar rates now. But the second channel is something that I started just to put up things that I just didn't want to spend too much effort on. So I just wanted to do like a quick fix, record it and put it on YouTube and not worry too much about it. And then that got more and more popular, and it started getting more popular than the main channel for regular views. So, and I was doing fixes on the main channel, but the thing is, when you record a repair, you can record a simple repair where you get to the solution really quickly, and it's just like a couple of hours. But then sometimes that's going to be a couple of weeks, and you've got 20, 30 hours of footage that you need to edit, and that's all of a sudden that's a block, and it's really, really difficult to edit that. I've done it. If you look back at my earlier ZX Spectrum repairs, there's the Specky from Hell, which is a 4-part series. And it seriously was.
That's like a Lord of the Rings commitment.
Absolutely, yeah. Gollum was involved as well. I think he was the one who did the soldering originally.
Cool, excellent. So if you're gonna give some advice, then we talk about community, which is really important, and we're going to put some links down in the description so people can take a look and get support, because there will be people interested. What would your advice be if you're going to start off? You've got an idea for a channel. Where do people start? What do they do?
That's a really open-ended thing, because it's different depending what you do. But the most important thing is to actually do it first, and then work it out, because you're always going to make mistakes, and no matter how hard you try to make the perfect video, it's never going to be perfect. It will never be satisfied. So just get the videos out there first, and then see about actually refining things and adding to it. So it's an iterative process. Just don't try to run before you can walk, basically. So grab your mobile phone. Don't worry about a microphone. Just start, and then add things to that. So then add a microphone if you can afford it. But it's a money pit, and it doesn't matter how.
Just to encourage you all out there, you will
lose money. Yeah, don't expect to do this and make money, because it's been 5 years before I turned on actually being able to make money, and I'd already built a massive community to support me. So it's a lot of work. But I don't be afraid of actually just trying, because that's the thing that people get them wrong first, is try to. I've seen this before, and I've seen there's a very specific video that I have in mind where someone actually made a fantastic video, their first video, and it did really, really well, and then they just didn't make any more videos because they'd done it all. They'd finished their journey. So
we had similar advice from Fred Daly. He's the electric 240 guy. And he said exactly the same. You know, just get on with it. Just make a start, because you're going to fluff up your lines. I mean, we started this episode and I couldn't get my words out. You're going to make mistakes. You know, you have to get used to being in front of the camera. You have to get used to talking and putting scripts together and all that kind of thing. So no, it's good advice.
You say that, but you don't actually, because you can do this without being in front of the camera, and you can do it without talking. I've got one of the people in the Big Red Arrow Club is a channel called III DIY. That's the letters III. Fantastic channel. He does restorations, and he's got one of these black gloves kind of restoration channels, and he doesn't talk. He just has I think he occasionally puts subtitles on. Yeah, he does put subtitles on. No music. Sometimes actually no, he does do music sometimes, thinking about it, but it's mostly ambient sound. And where he works and films his videos is it's somewhere in, I think it's New York, and it's a really busy workplace, and you can hear all this noise in the background, and it's almost like ASMR. It's really nice texture to the audio, and he shoots with really high-end gear because he works in the film industry. So his videography is fantastic, but he shoots deliberately with just one light source. So he just has one single light source and the camera, and it has a look that isn't like anything else. And that is one other thing that I would say is important if you are thinking of doing YouTube, is take inspiration from other people, but find your own way, find your own path, because you can't do this by being somebody else. You've got to be yourself, and who you are is unique and special, and people will be interested in what you've got to say if you are genuine. And exactly like DIY, he's found this special way of communicating this journey of taking a broken thing to a really very beautiful thing, and made it into something that is really beautiful to watch. So yeah, do that.
I think that's great advice. I mean, people connect with people, right? And we don't always know why we like someone, we just do. And if you're not your authentic self, then people aren't good. You can't fake it, can you? You've got to be yourself, and people are either turned on by that or turned off by that at the end of the day. Great advice. So speaking of people that people like, I called you an average bloke at the start. You're a very likable person, Lee. I've seen your videos, and as you said, your YouTube journey has taken a turn. You've grown, and it's now become something that you have to do admin for. So what's the difference? Let's go behind the curtain. What's the difference between, for your day-to-day now, that it's gone from being a passion project that took 5 years, that was a money pit, to now actually something that you have to spend time doing admin on? What's the admin, and what's involved?
I'm not sure it's going to be useful advice for anybody else, because I'm in a kind of a unique situation. I'm sure there are other people like me out there, but I'm not sure all of the pieces of the puzzle are the same. But I'm a full-time carer for my sons, and that is basically my full-time job. And I've always done the YouTube thing as my respite, as a way to switch off from the stresses of day-to-day life. And it's probably not the ideal thing to do, turn your passion thing into your work. But I swore to myself when I started doing this seriously that I wouldn't change anything. So I basically do the same things as I did before, with a few. There's less expectation on my time now. So my wife is much more understanding about how much time I spend standing shivering in my workshop.
You can just say, I've got all these subscribers now, I need to do this, and I love it. Yeah,
there's a paycheck comes at the end of it now, so that so I can
that sweetens the deal. That's sure.
But also when before I was doing this and earning money from it, I was paying for everything myself, and doing this at the level I was doing it, with the quantity of videos that I was doing, can be quite expensive. But I'm very fortunate in that I've got a friend called Paul Universal Retro Boss. He goes by the name online, and he is someone who's an enthusiastic collector of things, and he buys and sells mostly software, but often he'll buy big bundles of things. and he gets me to repair all of his stuff, which I do for free. So that's all my content basically, and that really works really nicely for me. But yeah, but in terms of time, and what I do differently, the admin side of it is very different because I have to, there are tax implications and things like that, and you've got to make sure that you've balanced the books and record everything. And I've actually been fortunate enough to run into somebody who's a bookkeeper who has offered me a service which is very reasonable that takes care of almost all of that for me. So most of my time is actually spent editing videos and repairing old computers. So yeah.
Is your approach different? I mean, you say you wanted to keep things the same, but now that it's a commercial entity, that must come into it, right? Is that something that's in the back of your mind when you're making it, or does that not even occur to you? We're talking about being authentic. I think you can be yourself, but is there a switch when you get to that commercialization point?
Try not to let it be something that I think about too much, because the idea of this is, the way that I make my videos is to share the journey. It's this thing that I want to share. I want to share for people that aren't lucky enough to have an amazing workshop like I've got here, they're still interested in the journey of a computer or a games console or whatever being taken from broken to repaired. There's that, it's a big endorphin payoff at the end of it. And it's just as good watching it as it is doing it yourself. So yeah, it's more about actually doing the work that brings in the fun rather than the money, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. It's got to keep you interested as well at the end of the day, because if you're not going to be interested in it, it's going to be commercial.
Exactly. I've burnt out a few times actually in the 5 years that I've been doing this. The very first time was right at the start, after the big pinball build, and I stopped doing anything for 6 months. So I learned some hard lessons there, but then I've done 2 big charity events now, and both times burnt out quite hard on those. So I'm now not going to do those to the same extent as I did before, because they just get out of hand so quickly, because it's such an amazing community that you say to people, right, I'm going to raise lots of charity money for this amazing charity, and we're going to buy some miniature donkeys. And everybody suddenly says, excellent, here are 50 Commodore 64s. Now do something with all of those. What am I going to do now?
And also, you just said you're a carer for your son, so I mean, you've got to be there for that, and that's the important thing. So, how do you reckon? Are you happy to talk about your mental health? How do you sort of recognise? But how do you recognise burnout, and how do you go about
I've never been able to
calming yourself down?
No, you don't. You don't realise that it's happening until it's happened. The only thing you can do is not put yourself into a position where it can happen, and there's part of me at the moment saying, because with More Fun Fixing It and More Fun Making It, I'm trying to run 2 YouTube channels at once, which if you'd have asked me a year ago, is that a good idea? I would have said, no, that's insane. Don't do that. I'm also on More Fun Fixing It I am releasing 8 videos a month at least. And again, if you'd have said to me a year ago, is it a good idea to release a video a week? I'd have said, no, don't do that. That's a sure sign of burnout. But and then I'm trying to make these higher quality, scripted, heavily edited videos on More Fun Making It as well, which take 2, 3, 4 weeks to make. Again, I would have said, don't do that. That's a really bad idea. But I've been doing this now for 5 years, and the way that I work and the way that I record things now, because I'm lucky enough to have all of this amazing equipment, I've got it down to a fine art now where I can turn around a repair video in a day. And so I can work for a week on just repair videos and have a month's worth of videos ready to go in a couple of days. And that's not something that I could see many people being able to do straight away off the bat. But yeah, burnout is, but the burnout thing is, don't put yourself in a position unless you are really sure about what you're doing, where you think, oh, this might be too much. Just come back a little bit. Just give yourself a bit of a buffer, and give yourself time off as well, because that's another thing. But not having time away from what you're doing is a surefire way of poor mental health. So don't do that.
Do you think you're a people pleaser, Lee?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, simple answer. I
mean, we can recognise our own, but yeah, of course. But I think when it happens at your own detriment, that's the danger line, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's hard to say no. I am much better at it now because I've had to be really brutal on saying no, because you get so many people that are so generous and that want to help and want to improve your lot, that it's hard to say no when somebody's being super generous and saying, here's this amazing thing, this computer that I've had for years, or I found over here, do you want it? And I have to say many times, not very often, no. Unless it's something spectacularly unusual or really badly broken. I've got enough here.
Right, let's debunk some myths, shall we? So you've been doing this for 5 years. If people want to get into repairs, do they need a degree?
Nope, I haven't got one.
No. Okay, do they need years and years of experience?
Oh, absolutely not.
No. Okay, do they just need to get on with it? Is that what we're saying?
100%.
Basically.
Yep. The best thing you can do is find something you're interested in, find a really good project, and just do it. It's as simple as that.
Okay.
And don't be afraid or worried if you break something, because it's only going to cost you money. That's all.
Fantastic. I'm going to drop you into the deep end here, because I should have asked you this question ahead of this recording to give you some time to think about it. So if you do need some time to think about it, we can come back to it. But I'm going to ask it anyway. So Ignis, we're a electronic product development engine. We can fit into a large organization, but a lot of times we have people with some funding and some really great ideas who want a workshop, feasibility study, and then prototypes making up. If you were given vast resource, let's say unlimited resource, and you came to us with an idea and want to work on a project, what would that product or that project look like and be?
I've got two.
Fantastic. Go on, hit me. What's the two?
The first one is displays, actually, is in the retro sphere, displays are the thing that's, I think, the hardest thing to get right. And because it's the part that you interface with your eyes, that's the thing that gives you the most information. There's sound as well, and there's not much tactile feedback. I think it's the most important thing. And lots of people are very passionate about CRT displays, but they're not going to be around forever, and nobody's making new ones now. And they are a big part of what the original scenes, the different machines that we were using back then, were designed with those in mind, with the way that they display their image. It's so important.
Absolutely. I've got, as I mentioned, my snares, I've got a HDMI connection that goes into obviously a flat screen TV. It doesn't look the same. It just
big pixels.
Yeah. Who wants big pixels?
You don't want to see all those pixels. You want to see a nice blurry, erased line. Display. So I want someone to make me a display that is more sympathetic to, say, a ZX Spectrum display than the current ones. But saying that, the displays that we were using back then were so awful.
And dangerous as well, that they hold a lot of charge, don't they?
CRT charge is something that actually absolutely terrifies me. And I've stopped myself for 4 years. I didn't buy any CRTs because of two reasons. One, they're huge and take up so much room. And the other is they terrify me. And I'm now shopping around for a high voltage probe, because I've got over there is a Commodore PET. And then there's a Philips 88332 there. And just over here behind me, you can just see down in that corner, is a Mac Classic 2. So they're kind of sneaking their way into my workshop, and I'm not sure what to do about it. But yeah, I'm not particularly nostalgic about CRTs. They're in certain situations like vector displays, especially, I would love to be able to reproduce. Right, so what I want Ignis to make me is a roll-up stick-on screen that I can put up on a wall that is going to give me a perfect vector display, so with the persistence and everything, so I can play Star Wars and Tempest on my wall with a stick-on display. Can you do that for me?
And we just say unlimited. What's the second one, dare I ask?
Oh yeah, the second one is right. So because as we approach our dotage, and before I do lose the control of the saliva in my mouth and start dribbling into everything, I'm finding that things like handheld gaming consoles the screens are too small. And the controls are uncomfortable. And I mean, I get tired looking down. My poor old neck muscles can't hold this massive brain up for too long at a time when I'm looking down at a screen. I want something that's made for me when I'm in my old people's home, that I can hold in comfort, and like a nice big screen, Bluetooth to my hearing aid, and be able to play all of the games from my youth whilst people feed me Horlicks through a tube, or VR.
VR, excellent. Okay, well that's kind of VR, isn't it? But I'm sure we can work on that for you. That's not a problem. I wanted to touch on this earlier, so I'm gonna loop back around to it. We were talking about product design and like the robustness. People were sort of people are worried about sort of damaging like old tech and that kind of stuff. Old tech generally seem like old cars. You think about, I had a Capri at one point, and it was basically an engine, it was a gearbox, it was rear axle, it was some wheels, and a very rusty chassis. But you know, it was very easy to work on. I learned a lot about mechanics and how to sort of, I had to as a baptism of fire. Product design these days, it's quite difficult. You can't really take an iPhone apart. It's very difficult to take an Xbox and do that to repair. Do you think manufacturers have a responsibility to make devices and electronic products easy to repair? I know why they don't, but do you think they should?
Yeah, I'm kind of a little bit on the fence on this one, because I know there's the big right to repair movement, and I do agree with that, and in spirit. But like you say, there are very good reasons that manufacturers do these things, and we wouldn't have the products at the prices that we get them without those manufacturing processes. So there's, I think it's a way of looking at it that you're not necessarily going to get the best answer that you want, because it's not a perfect world. But I think that we always look at these things, from this point in time, and in 10 years, in 20 years time, in 30 years time, when your iPhone 17 is, the thing that people are nostalgic about, there are going to be different methods to doing these things. We're going to have a whole different set of tools. I mean, the stuff that I've got here now with this, I've got oscilloscopes and I've got hot air stations and, all of these amazing tools here. They didn't have those 40 years ago. I mean, they had various things that were like them, but not in hobbyists. These were the things that you had in specialist workshops. So hobbyists in 40 years, I shudder to think what they're going to have available to them. The chip fabrication and being able to, create a CRT from scratch, maybe. But who knows? It's 3D printing is gonna be. What can you imagine?
Already has revolutionized, yeah. No, it's I hadn't thought about that. I mean, there's the education piece around there as well, I think, because you started 5 years ago, you didn't have the electronics background, not an engineer, you just sort of got stuck and have a go. There's a simplicity about retro boards and how they're all put together. In the future, yes, you're absolutely right. They could have, be able to manufacture chips and all sorts of stuff, but they're still going to have to be able to program, aren't they? Or maybe that's where AI comes into it. They're going to need to know the theory behind it.
It's definitely where AI is going to come into it. I think it's something that's already, you can already see it now. And it's, I use AI for research purposes, for different projects. And because I have these huge gaps in my knowledge, it just gives me a little bit of a leg up. And it's just another tool in your armory, really, isn't it? Of creative side, what's the creative side of AI? The generative side of AI.
Yes, like image creation and content creation and that kind of stuff.
We had fun with when it all started bursting onto the scene. Is now a bit of a hot topic, and people kind of avoid it a little bit. And if you're seen to be using that in, say, a thumbnail, you can quickly get yourself cast out from the community. But yeah,
absolutely.
The research
Yeah.
side of AI is something that is great now. And again, what's that going to be like in, I mean, it's growing so fast now. In 10 years' time, will you be able to reprogram an iPhone in 10 years' time from pretty much scratch, like plug it into a computer and say, all right, I need to rebuild this whole operating system. Here are some blank ROMs in this chip. Go ahead. Will it be able to do it? That's a good question.
I read an interesting article about where our AI is at the minute, and I think it was from Gartner, and it's sort of like on the investment, adoption, production line. It's sort of like the hype generally goes along like this, and then it'll dip, and then it'll sort of fall out of favor, and then actually you sort of get hyped up about the possibilities, and then the realization is a little bit disappointing, but then people sort of get really stuck in, and that's when the innovation comes through, and that's when it finds its feet, and then it takes off. So I think it's got a really early trajectory. I think it's going to be, there's a lot of hype around it. As you're saying, there's a bit of backlash. People don't like the fake music. They don't like the fake images. It'll probably ditch, but I think you're right. It's going to find its feet as it takes off and the models get more accurate. And yeah, it's going to be interesting.
The genie's out of the bottle, and you can't fight this kind of progress. I think the most important thing is people need to concentrate on energy supplies, make sure that we're not feeding AI instead of ourselves. That's, if we can do that and make sure that there's a fair playing field against our robot masters in the future, then I'm all right with it.
I for one welcome our AI overlords. I don't know about you, Lee. That's fine. You mentioned fear. Why in the community? Why do you think people are fearful? I mean, don't name names, obviously, but where does that come from?
Oh, the whole this is taking our jobs, and this is going to ruin our creative outlets, artists and things, which is a very valid criticism of AI. But I see it like big advances. I mean, it's probably a simplistic way of looking at it. I'm not sure how right this is, but I see it as big advance in other fields. So when there are big advances with tools that change things, or if you go back to like the printing press, and everybody was smashing up the printing presses because they didn't like that happening because it was going to take their jobs, and then the information ages.
Yeah, no, I always like to say that I'm not a Luddite, but I bloody hate looms.
I like that.
Same thing. What's coming up next for you, Lee? What's in the pipeline? What's coming up the next few months?
Do you know, the next thing is on the, I don't know when this podcast is going out, but on the 15th and 16th of November, I'm going to be at the Retro Festival in Cambridge at the Museum of Computing History, which is, I've been to that for the last couple of years. And this is the other thing, actually, I'm really, really super passionate about in this hobby, is meeting up with people in different events and things. We did Retro Fest in May this year, and I've done some other events as well. And it is the best thing that has come from this. Never mind getting all this cool stuff and having great tools and a YouTube channel. The best thing is actually going to an event and people coming up to you and saying, "Oh, I really am passionate about this thing," and having a conversation with them. Complete stranger recognizes you because you're that guy on YouTube, but they can start a conversation because they recognize you, and that's fantastic. I get to talk to so many different people that are so passionate about so many different things, and so many nice things happen because of that. That I look forward to it every single time it happens. So yeah, 2 weeks time, I'm going to be in Cambridge, and I'm going to be knee deep in nerds.
Knee deep in nerds. What a great line to end on. I think just to sum up, I think what we've hit the nail on the head for this is community is really important. Getting stuck in really important. Not being afraid, being your authentic self, and following your passion. Is that right?
Yeah, or be really good at writing a script.
Or get AI to do it.
Get AI to do it. Yeah.
Lee, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for joining us on the podcast.
Thanks, Neil.
See you soon. Bye. Hi, I'm Neil. I'm the host of Another Bright Spark podcast. It's hosted by Ignis. Who are Ignis, you're probably asking? Well, Ignis are an electronics design agency. We're based here in Nottingham. We have a bunch of really talented hardware engineers and an equally bunch of talented software engineers. We speak to a lot of interesting people in the technology space. We have business leaders, business coaches, engineers, YouTubers, electronics experts. we thought it'd be a really good idea to leverage your expertise and to give you something a bit back. We've got some really great guests coming up, so make sure you subscribe, click your notifications on, do all that good stuff. Don't want to miss it. Hope to see you there.
And it said, just want to ask your advice about something. I said, go on, was it? He said, got this opportunity that somebody's offered our band a recording contract. Honestly, Matt, if you've got the opportunity of doing it, brilliant. And they went on to become OMD, Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark.
The fact that we want that physical object and we still go through the process of putting it in, needle on the thing and scratchy sound, but we still get to enjoy that. There is something fundamentally tactile.
I'll read one comment, or one will just come up on the app and it'll be, it just sort of sticky, because it's real criticism. That's the thing, and as a content creator or YouTuber, you know, it can't be anything but personal.
The bias issue is the one that worries me probably most, hallucinating. I'm not technical enough to know if that can be addressed, but the bias issue does worry me, because at the end of the day, how are you going to remove that from AI?
We used to say it would be 3 to 4% of the graduating class at university might think about doing entrepreneurship, and only half of them, if that, would try. Now you've got 25-30% of a class thinking about it.
£100,000 of Michael Sheen's own money, so he wasn't paid for filming. He essentially footed the bill for the whole project, made it all possible. And he bought on the secondary debt market £1 million of consumer credit and then wiped it off. So that was, we started off calling it kind of the debt heist. That was sort of an early working title.
And what you end up is a battle of the bots. You've got them using AI to try to do something, and me saying to my AI. So suddenly we've now got bot wars, AI bot wars.
Hosted by Craig Charles.
Exactly.
We have some great guests with some amazing stories coming up. You don't want to miss out. If you've got an idea of a guest for us, let us know in the comments below. Otherwise, make sure you're subscribed. You really don't want to miss it. Thanks for watching.